Yeah, that was my question too. I don't understand why. Oh, that's what I was going. Who is Buckeye? Somebody bought somebody out. Excuse me. Who's Buckeye?
Good one.
Who is it? Is it one of the nursing homes that got bought out by? Who's Buckeye Forest?
Yeah, the old Heartland there on Marion.
The old Heartland.
You know, they just, sign makers must love them. I mean,
Call this meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Norris. Here. Rogers. Here. White.
Here.
Wellman. Here. Brown. Ely. Here. Godwin.
Here. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. We're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Our next item on the agenda, we need to elect a president pro tem. Since I took over this seat for Mr. Baumgartner, that's the position that I had before, so we need someone to fill that. We're going to use paper ballots, and Jessica will pass those out, so we will need to have someone nominate, and then we can take a vote.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I nominate Leon Rogers to be president pro tem.
Okay, we have a nomination for Leon. Any other nominations? Okay, well, let's take the vote. Verbal vote?
You serious?
No, I think he'll vote for himself, but.
And you don't get aspirin with that, you know? Just thought I'd tell you.
Yeah.
Yep, they're all Leon.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Rogers.
Congratulations, Leon.
In the past, President Pro Tem has always held this seat, so Mr. Woman, you
on.
warmed it up there for a couple minutes, but now we're going.
It's a good spot. I got right on the free. I got my jacket down there.
We could.
Hold my new jacket down.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. You should have received email copies of the minutes from our last meeting. Any additions or corrections? If not, those will stand approved. Approval of the agenda. We do have a need for an executive. I do not believe there is any other changes at this time.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to approve the agenda as amended. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wellman.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, public hearing. Anyone wishing to address council, please step forward.
Good evening, Council. Brandon Irvin with Main Street. Wanted to come and speak with you all tonight, seeking approval to try to get a new event for Main Street, Greenville. So, Western Ohio Wranglers, which is a Jeep organization, they're here with us tonight. We kind of sat down and had a meeting about bringing a Jeep rally to downtown Greenville. I'm not sure, most of you probably know what that is. We have towns around us doing Jeep rallies as well. So basically anybody with a Jeep, they're passionate about their Jeeps, they're decorated, they look flashy. They would park along Main Street, Broadway down there, so we would have to close down the town, down Broadway. It'd kind of be just like the car show. It's my understanding that it costs quite a bit of money to do so. Neither organization can afford to do it, so just wanted to see if this could be a new event that we can bring downtown without having to pay that cost to close down Broadway.
Do we need
Clarify a little bit. So back
Many years ago, council approved a list of events, the car show, the breast cancer 5K, the Annie Oakley, there's like 10 of them, that they grandfathered in so they don't pay a cost for an event. Any new event, they and they still submit event packets and we go through the whole process. But any new event that comes in, then we do the event packet, we put on the event, and then we invoice them for street employees, walking off the streets, police presence, whatever it takes. So to block off Broadway, state route, and do a detour, and I told Brandon, you're estimating $5,000-$6,000. That's what would be. There's just a lot of work that goes into that. So that's what he's asking for, is to be added to that list or a one-time tryout for that event. So for an example, we haven't done it in a couple years, but the YOLO half marathon, when we would do that event, then we would invoice that organization for all of our time putting on that event, and then they would pay that invoice.
So of the 10 that we've grandfathered in, are all 10 of those still actively doing things downtown Greenville?
Yes.
They are.
Yep. And it's not only downtown, but most of them are downtown. Like the Gathering at Garst is another one, and some take a lot more resources than others. The car show's a big one. The Annie Oakley Parade's a big one.
But they're all reimbursed.
And they're reimbursed through the community events.
Community event funds,
Or, yeah, the community funds.
community funds reimburse the city,
Yep,
not the groups, okay?
yep. Any new that's not on that list is reimbursed to the city by the organization. And the reason it was happening is because we had all those events, but then we were just, every week we would get, I want to do a 5K, I want to do, and it was stacking up to an event a week, and gets quite expensive.
And since you have had this fee policy in place, have we ever made a waiver of these? Have we ever waived the fund? A fee?
I honestly don't know, not since I've been up here. So not in 5 years.
Okay. So where do community funds stand right now?
Zero.
The funds where are those funds? If we decided, what is it that we have, that we can make a donation to a community event, a community organization?
Correct.
Where are those funds? What is the balance on those right now?
It's like 114,000.
That's the
114,000.
cash in the account.
That's what we collected last year.
Okay.
But we haven't budgeted anything.
Correct.
In community funds at all.
Just this,
We've only budgeted the city's reimbursement. When we did the budget, we budgeted that, but we have not distributed any funds to any of the requests.
Okay. And at present time, can you just give me a ballpark figure of what applications have been made for those funds?
Quite a few applications. We have we have new ones, we have a couple of extra ones that were newer for some funding. I just put all of that together today. I know that the fund requests exceed what we have received in revenue for '24. I can tell you that for sure. That I know that this assignment hasn't been done yet, and we do have to meet on that, but I don't know exact numbers.
So my next question was, of all those requests that you've received, and are you going to look at a percentage being
That's
given?
up to the committee. There's a the finance.
Yeah, I know that
committee will
there
meet,
should be one coming up.
Right, yeah, so that's.
Is your suggestion that a percentage would be like, instead of giving them the full amount as requested, which we
Yeah, we'll
obviously.
definitely will not be able to do that. That is true.
All right, so you're going to have to address the ones that you've received and select either reduce the amount that you're giving each one of them, or eliminate some of them.
Correct.
Okay.
Ken, was the 24 revenue included in the 24 total revenue? Or was it not posted and put into 25 revenue?
I'm not sure I understand the question. So
You
monthly,
collected last year.
money collected last year was posted on a monthly basis. And that money is cash that is in the carryover because it has not been appropriated yet. We wait until we see what the funds we've collected in '24, and then we take applications to distribute those funds.
Okay,
So that 114,000 is in the cash carryover. Is that your question?
that's fine, yes.
Is one of the biggest contributors that we contribute to is like the Main Street, Greenville and
Correct.
downtown. Two, we donate two of them to,
Visitors Bureau.
yeah, Visitors Bureau and downtown.
Visitors Bureau and down Main Street,
I think they're the-
Greenville.
They're the two biggest.
What are the two biggest? I know Main Street.
Main Street,
Visitors Bureau.
Bureau,
the Visitors Bureau, and then,
downtown.
yeah.
Economic development? Oh,
Economic development was budgeted in the budget. It was, yeah, it was already budgeted for. As long as also the Union Cemetery. So,
Okay. Am I allowed to ask them a question in the Jeep Club?
Absolutely.
May I ask you a question? Okay. Approximately how many Jeeps do you feel that this event will bring into our city?
2023, Tipsy they had over 500 Jeeps show up the first year they did it. And last year they had over 750 Jeeps show up.
But this is the first year, so I'm sure it's not, you know,
Well,
it's time to get out there.
So there is a potential for some good revenue coming into the city over an event, yeah? Okay. Restaurants,
Businesses,
The thing about our group is we have group members in our group and we're members of other Jeep groups. That once, if for whatever reason this group decided to take off with this event, they are going to go back and advertise it in their group, their other groups, which in turn will bring other people from other groups in on this. That's where this attendance will end up,
regular people.
will end up accumulating over time. So, yeah, it's got a tendency to quite a lot of Jeeps, which is gonna bring in a lot of revenue for downtown.
And be similar probably to the Rolling Fifties car club, because they've, they come from all over Indiana and et cetera. So it'd probably be similar to the same thing.
Different years, older ones, without like a judging thing. The oldest Jeep or the, prettiest Jeep or the one that's all,
Best thing, Jeep.
that's the, just mix it up with them a little bit, just have some fun with it.
Mr. President, if I may. Just a couple of questions, if I may. What hours are you talking, like on a Saturday or a Sunday, or 2 to 7?
Yeah, we discussed, I don't remember the hours, I remember Saturday, though, July 19th is what we were kind of playing around with. We didn't get a lot of planning done because we want to make sure we can do it first.
Right, yeah.
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 This is getting the food trucks, their time to make some money on the food trucks too, like, some snacks or supper.
Right, yeah, you gotta start somewhere, might as well start here and try to plan something. And then does the club itself make any money off of it, or there's a donation or a charge of any sort?
We're nonprofit, we don't make any money on it.
Okay,
We're just a bunch of people who like to get our Jeeps.
Jeeps together, yep, that's no problem.
If we did it again in the future, we might actually like to donate money to a charity or something like that, but we ourselves don't make any money on it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
so do you charge a registration fee?
No.
So if this were to happen, or if it was possible to happen, what steps would we need to take? I mean, would they need to fill out?
So if you would elect to waive the fees, then Brandon and the group would file an event packet, which we already have a packet available. We do for every event we have in the city. And then we meet with them, street, police, fire, rescue, everyone that's involved. We have a meeting, we lay out a map, we fine tune a detour, we have overflow, we talk about safety, we talk about pedestrians, restrooms, garbage, all the things. This one would be very similar to the car show, so it's something we've done for 25 years, so from our realm, it's a pretty easy one to plan, the planning side of it, but it does take a lot of resources and a lot of personnel to get it across the finish line.
Right.
I think that something new, coming to Greenville to help, like I said, businesses and things like that, probably would be beneficial.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I asked Brandon to come here. He hit me up, and I was like, look, you have these events, this is something new, something fresh. Everyone loves the car show. If you've ever attended, it's always packed. There, to put it into perspective, I think there's normally somewhere between 750 and 1,000 cars, and really that's only because that's all we can fit down there.
Right.
And if you talk to a lot of the restaurants downtown, it's their busiest night of the year. And then you add in people buying fuel and going out to dinner other places, potentially staying the night. It could definitely turn into something big.
So if council chose not to waive the fee and they wanted to apply under community funds, I mean, most of those applications are already in. At one time, we had a deadline, I realize that, but I mean, there's always room for growth, but I guess I'm looking for some guidance on.
It's an option as well.
Right.
Absolutely.
But we're not past the deadline. Kim, are we okay on the application, or was there an application deadline on the community funds if we wanted to use part of that?
No, we did not set a deadline. We always like to have them in prior to the meeting so they can get everything organized.
Okay, thank you.
So we haven't had the meeting yet.
Would there be a chance, Brandon, that you could get some donations from places in Greenville that might help with the money situation?
We could try.
I think everyone's looking for some guidance on which direction. I mean, I don't know.
Is there any precedent issue being set if we do this?
I think absolutely.
That becomes,
Yeah.
that becomes the
becomes-
bottom line question.
That's what I
Are we
was.
setting any kind of a precedent that refers to the previous events or any other future events?
I think clearly every decision that you make sets a precedent, right? That's
Good or bad.
the nature of a decision. So I think essentially your options are to grandfather its status, but realistically, to make it easiest on you all, because community funds haven't been given out, the easiest thing to grant the request is to have them apply and give them the money through the community funds chunk.
Okay,
Is probably the cleanest.
say that again. Grandfather them in, is that what you're saying?
Is not as clean as giving them funds through community funds. Just in terms of precedent, because the community funds is determined on a year-to-year basis. It's based upon the amount of lodging tax that you received in the previous year. And if you know this is one that you want to go forward, in theory, the finance committee would just emphasize this one as you're having that community funds meeting coming up.
Is that application available online?
Yes,
Okay.
it's on the city's website.
So
And
I think we'll
Brandon's,
fill that one out for the specific.
I think that's the best avenue to pursue right now. Go on there, the community funds request form.
Okay.
Have them fill that out and get that in and see where it goes from there.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Ryan, does it make a big difference on the amount of Jeeps and where they come in at, if they're gonna park down Broadway? If they have any help in volunteers with traffic, and can they do that?
It does.
Cost?
For an example, the car show, we basically do all the road closures, set up the detour, but the Rolling Fifters Car Club itself does all the registration and brings them in and parks them. So to keep it similar to that, we would ask that they do that. I mean, we can do that, but again, that's just more people. So any kind of volunteer that you can get is helpful.
How many members do you have in your club here in Dark County? 83?
Yeah, we just started,
Yeah, you started it about 6 months ago.
but have our GB year.
We are in several other groups though. The one has 12,000 members and the other one has 8,000 members.
And they have 47,000.
He's been wanting to do it for a while, so I encouraged him, just park, just do it.
Right.
When they did the one down in Tip City though, it was amazing, just watching the spectators pushing strollers and the people clean these out. The one Jeep in our group is the Dark Knight. And he's got Batman wrap on it and up in the wheel wells is the glowy Batman symbol. He has a blow up Batman that rides with him. There's Finding Dory Jeeps, there's just
Jungle books, there's people shoes, people spend $60,000 customizing these vehicles out, they spend a lot of time and money on it.
I don't have a lot of money in mine. But I do have people going, hey, my kids are like, look at that Jeep, Mom, you know, so they're leaving mine out there.
I think that's a good start anyway to, get in and we'll, be able to have some concrete issues that, we'll have to work with then.
When is the community funds meeting?
It
Like,
hasn't been set yet.
when is it typically though? Would it be too late for our July date? Can we
Oh,
still pursue?
absolutely
Okay,
not. No, it
Okay.
won't be too late.
okay.
You can either email it to me, or you can drop it off. If you can't make it up during business hours, you can put it in the night drop and just put attention to Kim
Okay.
on it. Or you can bring it on up, just get it. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council?
I was in the park the other day changing the information in the board, and I want to thank the Welcome Center because they have helped me tremendously, that in the library. And while I was down there, a man approached me and he says, "Do you work for the park?" And I said, "No, I just do this message board." And we started talking about the park. Now, I know I should probably bring this to the park board meeting, but he wanted me to bring it to council. And his concern was, he walks along near the Greenville Creek, and he wants to know, is that going to be cleaned up from when the tornado went through? Because he thinks there's a lot of rubbish and things down there. And then my neighbor guy also brought it up to me, and he didn't even know. We were just talking, and he said, is this all going to be cleaned up eventually? So,
Eventually, yes.
okay, it will get, okay.
We know it's there, we're just trying to get the park structures there.
Okay, because he does walk around the area. And then we started talking about the park, and somehow I got onto the pickleball court. And he got so excited. He says, "My sister is looking for a pickleball court in Greenville." And I said, "Well, I will take that concern to Mr. Delk." And so you're still, because I heard through the grapevine, this is how people talk, I heard through the grapevine that you are trying to get a grant.
I've been working on a pickleball grant for 4 years, but
Nothing yet. And there's nothing we can do, like get a petition up, 100 people sign it and send it in, that doesn't help.
It should be so easy.
I know, but it was anything, but who just got a new, New Madison got one. So now it's New Madison, Arcanum, Russia, Versailles, but not Greenville. So anyway, people are coming back from Florida and they're asking me about it because they know that I've been working trying to get one. So I will tell you this, I told you I would buy a net. If you could get one of those that would go up to play volleyball or badminton, I will pay for that. There were kids the other day playing volleyball with an imaginary net over on Parkside in the street. They were sitting there batting, and I thought, how sad that they could have gone down here to the park if we would have had some kind of net or something that they could play it. So anyway, I brought the concern from the gentleman. If I see him, I'll tell him again. Now, I just want to tell you one thing real quick. Don't roll your eyes.
You've been drinking again?
No, I'm going to donate this to your showcase down there. I came in to pay my water bill, so I stopped in that office down there and talked to the lady. And this says E. Glender, Greenville, Ohio. Now, I just want to give you just a little bit. It'll be less than 2 minutes. This bottling company sat down here at the end of Sycamore in that building. You run right into it. That is where this was bottled. And what was unique about this, it was only here for a short time. And they actually would take these through the tunnel to St. James Hotel, which sat here. Somebody told me the other day the St. James sat over here. No, that was Citgo gas station. And before that, it was a car repair place. And I talked to a lady who said she would go in there with her dad and sit on a car seat, like out of a truck or something, in those windows while their car got repaired. So that's why that building, the Mock building, is designed the way it was, because it was a gas station. But these were actually being brought underneath. And in fact, the library people are doing a story on tunnels in Greenville. But that is one of them. From that building to St. James, they would bring this. And I want to tell you that one of these sold for $75. And so I stopped in the office that day and I asked if I could donate one. And they said yes, they would display it downstairs. So once I get this all cleaned up, it will go on display. And plus I want to get some information on it too. So I was excited. All you have to do is just mention something to somebody and then they're going to tell you the history. So anyway, I want you all to see a piece of Greenville that eventually it will be here on display and others can learn about the city's history too. So, okay, Clarence, I'm done. Yes. Yeah, well, I'm excited. And you know, when you leave this world, why shouldn't you leave a bit of history? That's what I'm all about. So anyway, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jana.
Don't drop it.
Don't drop it.
Jinx her.
I'm all for the pickleball, Janice, so.
Okay, there's another one.
Yeah, we'll get together on that. Good evening. This week is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. We have 7 dispatchers and they do a really good job. I just wanted to publicly say thank you for what they do. You know, they deal with the worst of the worst on the phone and we don't always, you know, show appreciation to that, and I think we should. They're dealing with emergencies constantly and they deal with a lot of the same stressors that the officers are dealing with. They just don't see it. They don't know the outcome of it, and it's really incredible work they do. To think there's 7 of them and they're 24/7, they don't get to shut the doors and close up for a night. I'm appreciative of that, so thank you to them. The other thing, I want to thank the officers too. We had an officer a couple weeks ago, there was an impaired driver on 127. He got hurt trying to apprehend him, and I think it kind of speaks to what these men and women do every day. They're getting spit on, cussed at, called every name in the book, and then they're scrutinized. It really makes me sick. It's, you know, to see it on social media, they're, you know, they actually do the job. And if anybody wants to come in and ride along with them, I encourage it. I know Dolores did. She had a good time.
I did.
All of you are invited. Come on out and see what they do. It's, you know, we should really appreciate that. The other thing is, we had 2 officers recently start training with the Dark County Sheriff's Office on their special response team. Joe Wolf, who was injured in the pursuit, or in the incident on 127, and then Lieutenant Monin. So I'm really excited about that. We're kind of merging our resources there because a lot of times when an emergency happens, hostage situation or some kind of critical incident, you know, a lot of times we're calling them. Now we're going to be a part of that team. The sheriff and Captain Trissel have been really helping us get that going, and I'm appreciative of that. So the last thing, Back the Blue, the memorial event, that's May 17th at 6 p.m. at the Dark County Fairgrounds. That's to honor officers and their families who died in the line of duty. That's a big event every year. The Back the Blue committee puts that on. They do a really good job. There's live music, food trucks, and different things. It's always touching. There's this year, Detective George Del Rio. He was a detective in Dayton. He was killed a few years ago. His family's going to be there. It's going to be a good event. It's to kind of show tribute to what they do. So we'd love to see you all there. So stop out and say hi.
You say it's May 17th?
Yes, May 17th at 6 p.m.
At the Dark County.
Yeah, it's in the Coliseum. Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Chief.
You,
Anyone else wishing to address council? If not, we'll move on to administrative reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I too want to compliment and show great appreciation for all of our dispatchers, all 7 of them, and also our police and fire department. These are the people that we rely upon to provide safety for our citizens, and I want to thank them. They're always appreciated by me. Second of all, I want to welcome our new councilman, Mr. Roman. We all probably remember him as mayor for 7.5 years. But prior to that, he served on council prior to that for about 8 months. And welcome. And to Leon, I want to congratulate you on being council president pro tem.
Thank you.
Long time coming. You've got how many years on council?
At the end of this term in 2027, I'll have 8 or 22.
Thank you for your service, and as well as all of you. That I pass.
Thank you. Moving on, Mr. Safety Service Director, Mr. Dell.
Thank you, Mr. President. So for this evening, quite a few things. First, I want to touch on what Mrs. Dieter said, pickleball courts. We do have pickleball courts at North Park. People just don't really like them that well because they're at North Park and not in the main park. But we have they're temporary courts, so they're painted on the basketball courts, and we have a container out there that we put the rackets and the nets in the summer months that people are allowed to utilize those pickleball courts out there. It's just, there's not a lot of shade, and it's in North Park, so the other end of town, but we do have those available to citizens of Greenville. Next thing I want to touch on is aggregation. I don't know if any of you have received, a lot of people have received 2 CenterPoint bills this month, and they're very confusing, so I want to try to clarify that for everyone. So the first thing, the city still does not have an aggregation program for natural gas. So the standard choice offer that CenterPoint was offering switched to a new supplier is what has happened. So you have received 2 invoices, but it looks like you owe way more money than you do. It's just increase. You just need to pay the second one, the larger invoice. The first invoice is, so it's like partial month is how it was broken up. Like I think there was 27 days in under the old supplier, and then like 3 days of the new supplier. But they are confusing. I know we've fielded a lot of calls this week, and some of my own family has struggled with what they mean. So I took a look at them, and I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. Speaking of aggregation, we are still working on a natural gas supplier. I have started to check references on some different consultants just to see what is out there. Most likely I will have one of the consultants that we're looking at come and speak at the May 6th council meeting to kind of talk us through that. There's some things that we would have to do to switch from who we're with to the next one, but I think it's a good time just because really of not having a gas aggregation program for the entire winter and not real great on communication, but I'll have that at next meeting. Just a reminder to all residents, really, recycling bins. So I receive a lot of complaints when people put out a recycling bin, they don't have a lid on them, they're open, and then the wind's blowing and trash is blowing down the street, and neighbors are upset because they have to go pick up trash. So I would just encourage everyone to help out a neighbor and help throw some recyclables back in a recycling bin if they're out, and all the residents to make sure they keep their yard clean. And if it's going to be windy, maybe wait to set it out until early in the morning, because they can't come till 7 o'clock.
When's that gonna be if it's not windy?
I don't know. I hope it comes soon, Leon, because it's been very windy lately.
Said that when Brown wasn't here, didn't you?
Yeah, where is he?
We're talking about start times. Next thing I want to touch on is park trees. As everyone's aware, with the tornado, and the street department's been doing a heck of a job rebuilding the park. We've come a long way in, well, less than a year. So the next step is trees. We have been meeting with Wendy Van Buren, who is an urban forester from Department of Natural Resources, to lay out a plan. So the plan moving forward, we're going to break it up into 5 years of replanting. So year one, we plan to plant in the fall about 40 trees that'll be around the band shell, pool parking lot, skate park area. And just because of having to take care of them and have to water them. So for every inch of tree you have to water it weekly, approximately 7 to 21 gallons of water from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So it takes a lot of time. And if we get more than, if we go out and plant 150 trees, it's just going to be extremely difficult to manage. So for them to thrive, she has recommended that we cluster the trees. So we'll have an area with white oaks, and we'll have an area with ginkgos, and we'll have an area with black locust, and it'll be kind of broken up through the park, and then we'll fill in throughout there with some different species, but they're all pretty much native of Ohio, the trees that she's recommended, just for the fact that they will do better than planting other ones. So the goal for this year is to plant the 40 trees and then also complete the donor wall and the memorial for the tornadoes. All the funds have been donated to Zecker Bailey's and are being held by the YOLO organization. And then they're going to invest those funds throughout the 5 years to try to build that as well.
Can people still donate to that?
Absolutely. If they would like to, I have told people, like, if you want to donate, like, trees are pretty much covered. They've collected about $130,000, which will get us through our 5-year program. For an example, if somebody wants to donate to the park, there's many of other projects out there that we have that you can donate toward. Pickleball courts. No. There's, we like to do some extra trails and lighting, and we need a new pool, and, all the things. The park can always use extra funds in other areas, and trees are just really covered through that organization. So we really appreciate what they've done for us there and everyone who's donated. A couple things on the agenda. So first, the supplemental for the $172,000 for the waterworks for the clarifier tank rehabilitation. So we hired a consultant last year because we were starting to see some leakage in some areas in our tanks that we just didn't like. They looked like they were starting to crumble. So we hired a consultant to come out, and they looked at them and came up with a plan for us to replace these. And the original engineer's estimate was around $900,000. So then we decided to break that project up into 2 years and budget $450,000 in 2025, and then we were going to budget $450,000 in 2026. Well, we received a quote from D&N Tanks, who was the original installer of the tanks that are out there, and that came in at $562,000 total, I believe is what it was. No, it was closer to $600,000. I apologize. So this addition is, we've already budgeted $450. This will be the additional $172, so we can complete the entire project this year. If we wait, we're going to spend more than $172,000 just because of mobilization fees and getting them back out here. I don't have an exact number for you, but this we feel is a cheaper option, and we can get this accomplished and go on. And they're telling us that this will give us at least another 25 to 35 years life expectancy out of these tanks. All right. Comprehensive plan, I know we've been talking about comprehensive plan, so I would just ask if council, I know I've talked to a lot of you about the comprehensive plan, so at this point, really, we need to either have a committee of the whole and, or adopt the comprehensive plan, how it was submitted to all of you, and then we can get that out and get it on our website and update items.
I'd like to have a meeting of a whole, if we could.
Committee of the whole?
Yes.
Bad idea.
Can do that. Do you want to try to set that now, or? Sure. Let's see here. Would next Tuesday work?
What time?
No,
I heard a no.
no here.
Okay. How about the 29th, Tuesday?
Can we do it on anything but Tuesday?
Well, yeah. What's everyone's, is there one night that's better than another for anyone?
Any but Tuesday.
How about next Monday?
Good.
That work?
Hold on, just,
I have a
6
meeting-
o'clock?
I have a meeting next Monday night.
Okay. The 28th?
that-
Monday the 28th, right?
I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm out of town.
All right.
I can't do the 28th, I have a meeting.
So now we're into May.
For May.
What about Wednesday, the 23rd?
Mr. President, I won't be here next week, so as long
Oh,
as it's
okay,
okay,
let's
then I'll-
pass that
but
one
it's
down.
okay, you
No,
can
no,
have it
I-
without me. I'm really okay with it.
We got questions for you
You
too.
say that much too easily.
Yeah, I'm not phoning in or anything.
Wednesday, the 30th?
I'm still out of town.
The 1st of May?
I'm still out of town. How about the
Okay.
24th?
I'm no good that night.
Kim's still gone.
Yeah. Well, we'll discuss this at our next council meeting, it looks like, but we will set a committee of the whole to review this.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Just want to make council aware, so we did receive our reimbursement for our yellow park restrooms grant in the amount of $147,000 from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. That project total cost was about $240,000, and then $147,000 of that was reimbursed through a capital grant through Ohio Department of Natural Resources. And so that project is complete, money's turned, we have our money back, and we're good to go. There's a big process after to submit all the documentation needed to get the reimbursement back. And Capital Electric was actually in town today to fix our downtown traffic lights. They're much better. They're going to come back tomorrow or Thursday to kind of fine tune them, so we should be back to flowing through Broadway again instead of getting held up halfway through and watching green lights ahead. With that, I will answer any questions, but I will pass.
What's the hours on the yellow park restrooms?
8 to 9, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
During the summer. And I think in the winter, I think they're a little tight, I think it might be like 9 and
To sit, like dark, like 6 or 7, they tighten up a little bit in the winter months.
Curtis isn't here tonight, so I'm gonna ask you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The meters, water meters.
Mhm.
Are we doing something as far as a program or something to replace those?
We are not, we've been replacing the existing through warranty work and rebuilding the heads, but we do not have a set aside money to start a new program that's going to need to be in the next 10 years. But my plan is to, when we meet in July, to review all those, we can start working on a plan for 5-6 years out. Because at that point, that's when we need to decide if we're sticking with the current ones or going with a different manufacturer.
The 1.9 million to replace them all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the Safety Service Director? If not, we'll move on to Law Director, Mr. Reaman.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just a couple things this evening. First, to speak to a couple ordinance I know we've talked about in the past. Ordinance number 5, I was able to come to an agreement with Steve Anderson to accept the position as the new Assistant Law Director. He's going to start, provided you approve everything, on May 1st. As I had mentioned previously, it'll be at the same salary that Chance is leaving, net out It's actually a reduction in salary because he's going to be eligible for some benefits. But the combination of the benefits and the salary will equal what Mr. Cox is making currently. So the city will see a net even on that. The other thing is we had also discussed the modification to the ordinances regarding taxi services. And so essentially what that ordinance does, as I've revised it, is stated that provided you're in good standing with either Uber or Lyft and you can show that you're a registered driver with them, excuse me, who is in good standing, then any of the registration requirements that we have here internally at the city do not apply to you. So as long as you've got that status from that company, then you're good to go. And then last but not least, we do have a need for 2 executive sessions tonight. One to discuss employee appointments, employment dismissal, compensation, and the other to discuss the potential purchase or sale of property. We will keep them brief. With that, I'll entertain any questions.
Okay, moving on, Auditor, Mrs. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a quick reminder for everyone to make sure they're getting their financial disclosure done for May 15th, because that's fast approaching. And the supplementals, if anyone has any questions on those, but I think everything is on the agenda, and I'll take any questions otherwise. Does anyone have any questions? Good.
I don't have my financial done.
If you don't, you need to get it done. Come on, Leon. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Moving on, committee reports, we have nothing on the agenda. We'll move on to ordinances and resolutions. We have 9 on the agenda for this evening. The first is a resolution authorizing mayor to enter into contract with Buckeye Forest. Is this one, did we already have a first reading? Yeah, this was already given the first reading.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with Buckeye Forest at Greenville related to providing transportation services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into contract with Buckeye Forest at Greenville for transportation services.
You've heard the second reading. Okay. We'll move on to number 2. We have a supplemental ordinance for appropriations.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025. This supplemental ordinance allows for appropriations in the general fund, park fund, and waterworks capital fund in the sum as follows. Uniform allowance fire in the amount of $1,000. These funds are needed for the purchase of an initial uniform for a beginning firefighter as the result of an unexpected vacancy. Equipment maintenance fire in the amount of $34,088. These funds are needed due to an accident on February 4th, 2025 involving the Clint fire apparatus. The claim has been processed and the insurance reimbursement has been received. Equipment maintenance park in the amount of $12,500. These funds are needed for the repairs for the park band shell exterior due to the tornado damage. The insurance supplemental check was received in the amount of $61,371.28 for the remainder of the tornado damage. Capital improvements waterworks in the amount of $172,000. These funds are needed due to an increase in clarifier tanks rehabilitation project at the water plant.
Move to suspend the rules and give this ordinance second, third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules and give this ordinance a second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Willman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025. An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025.
Move to adopt the ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to adopt the ordinance. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Willman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, number 3, we have a resolution to authorize Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for Phase 3 of the sidewalk project.
A resolution authorizing advertising for bids for Phase 3 of the sidewalk project for 2025. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for Phase 3 of the sidewalk project.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Willman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing advertising for bids for Phase 3 of the sidewalk project for 2025. A resolution authorizing advertising for bids for Phase 3 of the sidewalk project for 2025.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to adopt the resolution. Discussion?
Mr. President, oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
Where is phase 3 at?
Up north end of town, Manchester, Windermere, Radcliffe, Berkshire, Holly Hill Court, Primrose,
Okay,
Manchester.
thank you.
Any other
Mr.
questions?
President, Mr. Delp?
Yes, sir.
Does this entire package go out as part of the bid package?
Yes.
Okay. Then I would like to ask that we change page 7 of the agreement between owner and contractor.
Okay.
To eliminate American Decorative Concrete unless we're going to go ahead and determine their selected contractor before we start.
No, we are not.
Okay, I didn't think so, that needs to be removed from page 7.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Got a motion to adopt, call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Wellman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, number 4, resolution authorizing safety service director to enter into contract with Choice One Engineering.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into contract with Choice One Engineering for professional services related to Phase 3 of the sidewalk project. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to enter into contract with Choice One Engineering for the rendering of professional services in 2025 as it relates to Phase 3 of the sidewalk project.
This is,
Move to suspend the rules on this resolution, give it second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
yes.
Wellman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into contract with Choice One Engineering for professional services related to Phase 3 of the sidewalk project. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into contract with Choice One Engineering for professional services related to Phase 3 of the sidewalk project.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to adopt the resolution. Discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. Delp, this is the same template, same standard that was used for 1 and 2, right?
Correct. Same template for this contract, yes. The difference this time is we're going ahead and bidding the project, so when the exhibits get sent to the homeowner by the certified mail, it'll actually have the bid price on it versus an engineer's estimate. So we're trying it a little different this time because
A hard
number.
quote.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Wellman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, number 5, an ordinance to authorize the law director to appoint Steve Anderson.
An ordinance providing for the appointment of an assistant director of law effective May 1st, 2025. This ordinance authorizes the law director to appoint Steve Anderson to provide the services of assistant law director effective May 1st, 2025.
Move to suspend the rules on this ordinance, give it second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this ordinance a second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Wellman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
An ordinance providing for the appointment of an assistant director of law effective May 1st, 2025. An ordinance providing for the appointment of an assistant director of law effective May 1st, 2025.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to adopt the ordinance. Discussion? Call the roll?
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Wellman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, number 6, an ordinance to amend section 864 of the city ordinances.
An ordinance to amend Section 864 of the city ordinances. This ordinance amends Section 864 of the city ordinances, allowing the exemption for all national third-party transportation services, including Uber and Lyft.
Move to suspend the rules and give this ordinance second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this ordinance a second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Roman.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend section A64 of the city ordinances. An ordinance to amend section A64 of the city ordinances.
Motion to adopt?
Motion by Mr. Godwin to adopt the ordinance. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Roman.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, number 7, a resolution to authorize City of Greenville to participate in ODOT annual road salt bid.
Resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2025. This resolution authorizes the city of Greenville to participate in the ODOT annual road salt bid in accordance with ORC 5513.01B.
Move to suspend the rules on this resolution, give it second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Roman.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2025. A resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2025.
Motion to adopt?
Motion by Mr. Norris to adopt the resolution. Discussion? How much salt do we go through on average?
So this, we will be advertising for 800 tons. We usually average 1,200 tons a year. I guess I should say, back when I was there, 5-6 years ago.
Right.
It's been a lot less the last few years. We just haven't had the winters that we used to have, but somewhere between 800 and, thank you, Mr. 8 and 1,200 tons. This is for 800 tons, so we have to take 80%, and we're entitled to 110%
Okay, very good.
of the 800.
Right. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Duck, how much do we have at current inventory?
I'll have to ask Mr. Myers that.
We're a little bit down this year because we had issues getting it, but we've got about 1,000 ton. And we'll add it here once they get caught up a little bit. So we try to keep anywhere from 1,200 to 1,300 tons on hand.
So like a year and a half, okay, year and a half, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, call the roll.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Roman.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Moving on, number 8, a resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into contract with Family Health.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with Family Health Services of Dark County to provide transit services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into contract with Family Health Services of Dark County to provide transit services with compensation in the amount of $22.65 for each person each way.
You've heard first reading. We'll move on to number 9. Resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into contract with Wayne Healthcare.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contract with Wayne Healthcare Foundation to provide transit services. This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into contract with Wayne Healthcare Foundation to provide transit services with compensation in the amount of $22.65 for each person each way.
You've heard first reading on number 9 as well. We'll move on to old business. Nothing there. I think we do have one item under new business.
As a member of the prevailing side on the resolution number 2538, authorizing the city of Greenville to apply for, accept, and enter into a water supply revolving loan account agreement on behalf of the city of Greenville for planning, design, and/or construction of water facilities, and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan, I move for a reconsideration of this proposal. This motion to reconsider is being made in accordance with the Greenville City Council's 2024 to 2025 terms, policies, procedures, and rules per Rule 6.8, motion to reconsider.
We had this discussion at our last meeting, so with this being in writing, does this count as a motion so we can vote on it as is, correct?
Yep, and so it's the same as what we had done previously. So when there's a motion to reconsider, it's got to be made by somebody who voted on against essentially what they're changing their vote. And then it takes a simple majority of council to bring the vote back up. So the first vote is whether or not the motion to reconsider gets passed. And that would allow a vote then to come back on whether or not the legislation would have been passed.
So a no vote is,
A no vote means that you want to stick with what you have done in the past.
Discussion prior or after?
Typically, right now there would be discussion to the extent that the chair wants to allow it on the motion to reconsider, not necessarily it all blends together. It's hard to separate your right hand from your left, but yes, there would be an opportunity for discussion. Now there's been a motion, discussion, and then a vote would be called.
Mr. President, could that be read again, please?
Absolutely.
and who turned it in?
Mr. White.
As a member of the prevailing side of the resolution number 2538, authorizing the city of Greenville to apply for, accept, and enter into a water supply revolving loan account agreement on behalf of the city of Greenville for planning, design, and/or construction of water facilities, and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan, I move for reconsideration of this proposal. This motion to reconsider is being made in accordance with the Greenville City Council's 2024 to 2025 terms, policies, procedures, and rules. Per Rule 6.8, motion to reconsider.
Okay, so you have a motion before you. We'll allow discussion.
Mr. President, I'm bringing this up because I think we missed something when we were doing this discussion before, as well as our discussion that related to the solids treatment plant. One element that we as a council missed was clearly how we were going to pay for this. And let me just frame it a little bit. We're talking about roughly $9 million for a water tower. We're talking about approximately $21 million associated with the treatment plant, solids. We're putting a burden on the city for the next 30 years of about $1.6 million a year approving both of these. And the question is, we've never discussed as a council, how do we cover the payment of this over the next 30 years? Now, most of us will be dead and gone before it's over, but in looking at our city, do we have a solid plan to repay $1.6 million a year for the next 30 years? I mean, I think this is maybe one of the biggest, if not the biggest, debt the city has ever seen. And if we look at the revenue of the Fund 6 and Fund 7, I'll just talk about the water tower at this point, there's not a $500,000 gap to cover the payments in excess of current. Now, there's some reserves, and Ryan and I have already had a conversation here. I guess, are we going to start down this path and 2 years from now or 3 years from now say, we need to do a 30% increase in water rates? And I'm not putting that out there as a proposal. I'm not saying that's the answer, but are we going to get ourselves pregnant and then say, now we've got to do something and put the burden on the citizens? And that's just a question. We've never discussed how we cover the funds and how we pay for it. And I think that's part of our fiduciary responsibility as council to understand what our means for paying for it is. And that's why I bring it back, and if I could, I'd bring back the other one as well, because I think they both fall under the same umbrella. And, once you look at it and say, we're going to pay back $48 million, roughly, over 30 years. So we're committing our city to $48 million worth of future payments. And I'm not sure we can swing all that without doing something that further adds burden on the citizens, and that's the reason I bring it forward. And I'd love to hear from my fellow council members and how we're handling this.
Everybody's looking at me. What can I answer?
That's why I'm looking at you.
I'm prepared.
I know.
That's what we're talking about.
What would you like to know?
That's why I'm asking you, since you have that paperwork in front of you.
What would you like to know?
Waterworks,
Okay?
do they have the money for 1.6 million?
So wait a minute, let's back up.
Two separate.
Two separate ones. Wastewater is gonna be a little over $1 million a year, in the repayment, and water is around $500,000. So, I mean, that's fair. So if you wanna talk about waterworks, you're talking $500,000 a year for the next 30 years. As it sits today, if we borrow
Through the EPA.
$8.5 million. On that particular one, the water tower, we do not have a set rate yet, but the solids handling came in at 3.22% for 30 years on but they call it the EPA revolving loan fund. So $500,000 a year, can we afford it? Yes. For the next 30 years, will there need to be increases? Absolutely. I mean, expenses are going to go up, but at today's numbers, so, you know, so we'll just talk about waterworks system revenue. So beginning of the year, we had 4.6 million. Our estimated revenue is 3.6 million. Our expenses for 2025 are $5 million, but keep in mind, $5 million, only about $2 million of that is operations and maintenance. The other 3 is projects, Green Street water line, Chippewa Arc water line, this tank repair, and then we have lead lines to address as well. So that 3.6 is conservative, like when we talk numbers, like I just checked again this morning, and if we stay on target with what we've collected in the first quarter, we'll be at about 4.2 million total revenue for 2025. Are we going to be able to do all those water line projects that we're doing this year? No, we will not. And when you look at the loan schedule, when you get down to about year 20 to 24, that's when, so basically when you apply for this, when you apply to the EPA, they make you increase your operations and maintenance by 3% a year. They just, when you put in the numbers, you add 3% to your operations and maintenance every year. So that number over 30 years continues to go up. But they don't allow you to put anything in your revenue if it's not already by ordinance that it's going up 3% a year. And we've talked about this for, you know, the last 4 or 5 years since we've done the increases. Like, we have to look at it every year, and is there a 3 to 5% increase? Most likely, like, just because. So as long as we continue to stay on the same path, absolutely we can afford it. If we would reduce it, or if we have a catastrophic failure, then we're gonna have to, you know, look at potentially another funding source. There are a lot out there. But to answer your question, like, I wouldn't have brought it to all of you if I didn't think that we could make it work.
And the enterprise fund is only money for that. We cannot take money out of the general fund to do water projects.
We can take money out of the general fund.
Can't do it the
We
other
can't take money out of the water fund to do
Yeah,
general
move it.
fund work.
Pave streets or whatever.
Correct.
Does it make sense to use some of our reserves in the water fund to reduce the loan amount, to reduce the payments, to make the pill easier to swallow for the city?
So possibly. So let me give you a little bit of how this works on a larger picture. So a couple of things. One, you can't pay off the loan early because it's a revolving loan fund. You can pay off early, but you're still paying the interest. You can't.
All of it.
Yeah, you can't pay it off early just to save yourself on interest with this particular fund. 2, so that 3.22%, I think in the last, I think he told me 15 to 20 years, they have come in, when I say they, the EPA have come in because interest rate went down and redid the bonds, and they lowered it on their own. You can't refinance it, but they can say, hey, our rate's lower, we're gonna give, our bond rate's lower, we're gonna give you a lower rate. We have, so, water tower, you're talking, you know, we're not there yet. Say we get approved in May and June, July, start construction or start doing the contracts. So that's an 18-month build. So it takes 18 months to build it, excuse me. And then you have a year from completion. So a year from completion is when you start paying the loan back. Okay? So at that point, so we're basically getting approved for an $8.5 million loan. Now, at the end, if the bids come in less, and, we'll say it's $8 million, because let's face the facts, we're not going to see this drastic reduction. So say it's like total project was $8 million, we can then make a decision and say, hey, we're going to put $4 million down, and we're only going to have our loan based on the additional $4 million. And then our payments are based on that over the 30 years. So there's still room to make those decisions kind of as we move forward. Like, there will be a point that once we lock it in, we're locked in for 30 years on that repayment.
2 years to.
But we're about 2 years off on both projects, really. Like, if you want to talk about solids handling and water. And I'll be honest, on the wastewater one, I keep going back and forth with myself, and I want to see kind of where our numbers are, where we are at that point as far as, what money we have in reserves at that point. You talk 2 years of saving the funds, you can get a couple $1 million there. But if you do that and you put all that reserve fund, if you have something catastrophic happen where you have to go out and spend $4 million, you're getting another loan on top of that loan. So there's my opinion, there's a sweet spot there on how much is enough to save back for a catastrophic failure and to keep things moving in the right direction, and how much do you put down on the loan to get the repayment schedule out or lowered.
Okay.
That explain it?
But in reality, first off, the 3.2 on the solids, that is a fixed rate.
Correct.
We don't know what the fixed rate yet is on the water tower.
That's correct.
But at the end of the day, the public should anticipate 3 to 5% a year water rate increases in conjunction with expenses plus this. I mean, if we're saying it, we ought to say it.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought it up.
Yeah. And I'll go back. If we would have done 3 to 5% the last 20 years, we'd be paying cash for this right now.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
It was a very unpleasant inheritance that we got. Let's just say it that way.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Well, the motion right now is to reconsider.
Yep, so a yes vote would then allow a new vote on that. A no vote means everything's going to stay as it is, in simplest terms.
Okay. Call the roll.
Norris,
No.
Rogers,
No.
White,
Yes.
Wellman,
No.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin.
No.
As expected.
Okay, moving on. Our council representative outside committee. Community Action Partnership.
Oh, community action. Well, you want a report? I got one for you. Don't you know, I just love all these things that I've been assigned to. I love them. Darke County Community Action Partnership, they continue to reach out and to meet the needs of the citizens of Darke County. I'm reporting on the fourth quarter of 2024 because of the way their board meetings are set up and the way I attend them. In the fourth quarter of 2024, they reached out to provide shelter through their emergency homeless shelter program to 16 households, 23 individuals, and they provided 1,000+ meals. That's a lot of cooking. The CAP staff conducted a point-of-time homeless study, and this was conducted from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on January 28th and 29th. This study was conducted in Greenville, Union City, Hollinsburg, New Madison, and West Manchester. And when they were conducting their survey, they distributed hats, coats, gloves, and informational material on how they could tap into resources that are available to them. I will give you the count as soon as it is finalized. I will make that a PS somewhere along the way. CAP provided services for home energy assistance at 377 under their HEAP program, and that HEAP, that stands for Home Energy Assistance Program. There were the 377 applications. There were 276 applications for their PIP program, which means Percentage of Income Payment Plan. There were services provided to 78 WCP, and that's the Winter Crisis Program, and that totaled to over $28,000. There are 106 people on the Metro Housing waiting list. There were no referrals from the Dayton VA for the VASH program, and that is Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing. CAP is currently assisting 231 families under the Metro program and 12 under the VAS program. There are 2 vacancies in the DD housing program, and CAP also distributed food boxes to 24 houses and provided nutritional support to 72 people. This is an organization that operates in our community, and I think it's well worth being aware of what they do and how they do it. I went to a Miami Valley CAP board meeting today, and there was a lot of discussion about how things are changing, and one of their concerns, like a lot of people, is how their funding is going to be affected by executive orders and how they're going to have to learn a little transition program, and, so it's always being aware that for what one hand does, another hand has to look at it and learn to live with the decisions that are made by somebody else. I really, like I've said in the past, CAP is a really valuable program that operates in our county. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Council President, just one thing that popped up into our mind. While we elected your replacement as President Pro Tem, we still do need to fill your spots on the committees.
Yes, Mr. Willman, that was our intention right now. He's just going to take my position on the committees that I served on currently.
Okay. Then I think that just needs to be approved by council.
Okay, I apologize for that. I thought that was...
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
So I think you've got the ability to appoint committee members into the positions as confirmed by council. And so you made your appointment, now council just would have the opportunity to confirm that for you.
So we just need a roll call on that?
Yep.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Willman?
Sure.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
All right, thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, Mr. President, could I ask for a committee assignment then for
Absolutely.
the community funds?
We'll get the G people taken care
When would you like that back?
If at all possible, we would like to have it back for the next council meeting so we could get it resolved for all those, including our Jeep people here in the audience. Yeah, so the next council meeting is May the 6th.
May 6th? Okay.
And I will be back on the 28th. If there's any way we can do it that week. If there's not, we could do it Monday before or prior to the May 6th council meeting even. I'm willing to come in whenever you guys are available.
That's the finance committee, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the finance.
Yeah,
Mhm. So
for me, it would have to
you-
be either a Thursday or Friday, or in the evening on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
So it would be you, Mr. White, and Mr. Willman. Mr. White, did you say you were going to be out of town as well, or?
I'm back on the 1st. I'm
Okay.
getting back on the 1st, so the 2nd, 5th would be the best, or before, but you're going to be gone before that. You're going to be gone, then I'm going to be gone.
Yeah.
So the Friday, the 2nd, and Monday, the 5th, looks like,
The best times for
or
you?
before you leave.
Okay, which is in the next couple of days, which
I can do that.
I'm okay too. Mr.
Friday,
Will?
Monday's good, yeah.
You wanna
On,
set, you'll have to have Jessica get a form, is that correct?
Yes, yes, so May, did we say
Set that
May?
time, and then we gotta give at least
Is that what you
24 hours notice.
That's a Monday, yeah, that's all right.
So you have a little bit more time.
Which day? What time?
Friday, May 2nd works. Does that work for you, Leon?
Yes, I can do it anytime that day.
Okay, is that okay for everyone else? Is that okay for you? And anyone else that would wish to attend? Okay, so we'll have Mr. Willen fill out a time and we'll advertise for that time. And I had some members that put in, or some community funds that were requested that those people would like to also come to that meeting. So I will make sure to let them know then as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Very good,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Any communications?
We received the monthly reports of March from the Street Department and the Income Tax Department, the first quarter reports from the Police Department, Transit Department, and Fire Department, the CIC minutes from January 28th, the annual CIC minutes from January 28th. And then we received letters regarding the 3.8 mil levy renewal from the following unions: Fire, Police, Emergency Communications Operators, International Union of Operating Engineers, as well as letters from Water Superintendent Curtis Locker, Wastewater Superintendent Dave Sturgill, and Water Maintenance Operator Ruben Kennett. If anyone would like copies of the letters, please contact the auditor's office.
Okay, thank you. Let's call down the council.
Norris?
Yep. Mr. Council President, may I make a motion to excuse the absences for the month of April, please?
Motion by Mr. Norris to excuse the absences for the month of April. Discussion? Call the roll.
Norris?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Lerman?
Yes.
Ely?
Yes.
Godwin?
Yes.
All right.
And
Anything else?
I would like to thank all the department heads for coming, for our Jeep representatives and everybody who come up to speak. We appreciate that. So with that, I will pass. Mr. President.
All right, thank you.
Rogers?
Yes, I'd like to, thank everybody for coming up tonight and expressing concerns or whatever. Also, I'm involved with, and like Dolores was talking about, the need for food and et cetera. The Radiant Lighthouse this coming Saturday, with Easter coming up and everything, they do a food pantry. The last month, it's always on the third Saturday of each month. And last month, we fed 66 families. And then also Shared Harvest goes to the Radiant Lighthouse Church on the fourth Wednesday of each month. And last count that I heard was over 1,100 people that they served. And so it's a worthwhile if anybody knows of anybody that can use some assistance on food. The food pantry that I deal with on Saturdays is, I'm kind of helping out with the frozen part, but there's frozen foods, there's dry foods, some fresh fruits. Of course, we have to watch, when we get those in, that they don't spoil before we give them away. And so, anybody that's needing some assistance can come out. With that, I pass.
White?
Again, thank you everybody for being here. Just as a reminder, we will not meet again until May the 6th, which is Election Day. The 3 mil renewal levy is on the ballot for May the 6th. For those who are for it and in favor of it, you've been given a gift. Have a second chance to say yes. For those that are opposed to it, you want a war, there's another war to be fought, or another battle to be fought that may or may not win the war. It's everybody's responsibility to vote however they see fit, and we'll see where it takes us. But everybody should vote. That's it.
Mormon.
Said me, right? Didn't hear you. Yeah, thanks for coming, Chiefers. I appreciate your report. Thanks for support, everybody, for being my first night here, so appreciate it. And likewise, like, make sure that we pass the word, everybody get out and vote. So, that's good, thanks.
Ely.
I choose to pass tonight.
Godwin.
I'm gonna start off saying, welcome back, Steve, back there on this side of the bench. Then, thank everybody for coming tonight, and with that, I'll pass.
President Schmidt.
Steve, welcome back.
Thanks.
Good to see
That's where I
you.
started last time.
Yeah, I think it was the same seat, if I remember right.
Almost out of camera view.
And I'd like to thank everyone else for coming up tonight. We do appreciate it. And with that, I will pass. And
Take a motion to rise to executive session, initially to discuss the appointments compensation of an employee. Need a motion from one of you up there?
I so moved. So moved that we rise to
Motion by-
executive session.
motion by Mrs. Ely to rise to executive. Discussion? Call the roll?
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Mormon.
Yes.
Ely.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Aye.